my friend, this is Randy, your host of Building Wins Live, and we are back today on another Friday. Been an awesome week. Did a little Road Warrior Randy stuff this week, as opposed to hashtag Road or hybrid Road Warrior Randy. That's a hard word to say together. Anyway, it's been a great week out on the road, seeing customers, getting a feel for the industry, and talking about getting a feel for the industry. We got a buddy, a pal of mine that I've known for several years, coming back for a repeat visit. Back, I think in August. We'll double check with John in a minute if that's when it was. But we talked about the steel market, the steel industry, where we're at, where we've been, where we're going. We did that back about a year ago almost, and we decided that we'd bring John back today to see if anything's changed, see where we're at, see where we're going. And if you're in the steel world, you do not want to miss this. So don't go away. We're going to be back. There he is. What's up, brother?
How are you, my friend?
Living the dream, man. I'm on live with John Marchand. How could it be better?
Happy Friday.
It is a great Friday, isn't it?
I love the fact that you talked about you've been on the road all week. I've been in Phoenix all week, so it's nice to come home to 100-degree heat rather than 115.
Oh, I'll bet. Of course, you got a little more humidity back home, right, or no?
Yeah, it's a lot more humid. It's a dry heat out there, but it's still hot.
I've had people say that. Everybody talks about the dry heat. I was in Vegas for one of the shows a few years ago in August. You would have been there together, I'm sure. I can't remember if it was MetalCon or IRE or something, but
right.
It was like 115, like you said, but like 2% humidity or 5% or some stupid number. And I remember two things, John. I was out on a search at 1:30 in the morning, and not for drinks. I was on a search for Visine for my eyes and chapstick, because those two I'd have paid $100 a piece for at that point in time.
Exactly. Those guys on the street selling bottled water for $5, they got to figure it out. It's called capitalism, right?
They understand. It's capitalism, buddy. And
yes,
I'm going to offer next time. I'll say, put Visine and chapstick in there, and you'll have you have a tri-pack, a trio, right? Bottled water, Visine, and chapstick.
Right.
So. Well, welcome back, my friend. It's good to have you. So before we get started, John, you're the corporate sales manager for Majestic Steel USA. Is that correct? Did I get that right?
That is correct, yes. Since it'll be 2 years in December, man, and the time has flown by.
Wow, it is. It is. So John and I have been together for a number of years, known each other. John, you're a true steel professional, and that's why I was excited when you were willing to come back on and chat with the folks for a little while about where we've been and where we're going, because, man, a lot's happened in the last, 11 months since we've been together on air. Have they not?
They really have. It's as you and I talked pre-show, I went back and watched last year's. I thought, okay, man, I hope I don't go on the show and make a fool of myself just of all the prognostication I did. But everything has played out basically like I said it would. So a little pat on the back to myself that I do actually know sometimes what I'm talking about.
I've never experienced that, but that's awesome. No, I'm just kidding.
It's all about bringing value, right? What did I bring value?
That brings value. No, that's awesome. So give us a little idea of where we've went in the last year, and I know you got a bunch of paper on your desk, so we're going to talk about some interesting stuff for the folks in the steel world. So take it away, my friend.
Yeah, and what I wanted to start with first is, you asked the question, where were we, where are we now, and what's it looking like in the future? Us as an organization, we look completely different than we did last year. The last time we spoke in August last year, we had just acquired a company out west that a steel processing center with 3 locations. Since then, we announced a greenfield opportunity in Northeast Arkansas. It's a brand new state-of-the-art service center right on Nucor Steel's campus. So literally, the steel will come out of their mill onto their galvanizing line, stick it on a rail car, and rail it right into our service center. So the building is actually up right now. We'll be able to start receiving coils in October. A lot of our slitters, cut the length lines, and some other machinery will be in first of the year. So we'll be fully operational probably end of Q1 into Q2. And what I'm really excited about is one, it's just another stake in the ground for us, and two, it is a state of the art processing center that will be one of the largest stocking service centers in the entire United States. So
Wow.
centrally located in the southern region of the United States. Again, it's just helping our footprint grow. And then yesterday, they announced that we acquired a metal building and roofing component manufacturer in Claxton, Georgia, called Quicken Steel, as well
Hmm.
as a transportation company out west called Mercury Transport, which will really help our locations out west be able to service our customers turnkey rather than having trucks, trying to get trucks with secondary transporters.
Right.
So it'll all be, it's basically the Amazon, right? We can
Hmm.
manufacture it, we can put it on a truck, we control everything, and then it just helps with lead time. So we've come a long way in the last, say, 18 months since I've been here, and we're probably going to look a lot different next time you and I talk, hopefully in the future.
Yes. Well, we will. We'll do it a year from now, if not sooner.
Right, sure.
If major things change, we'll bring you back. So, um, let's go from what you and maybe we ought to maybe recap where we were last August when we talked, if you
Sure.
can.
Yeah.
And I know you made a lot of predictions, as you said so rightly, that have came true. Um, but let's start, if you don't mind, real briefly, or as briefly as you want, where we started last year, about the time we talked, where we were, and what's happened between now and then. What should people be looking for? What have we seen? You and I both know it because we kind of live in the industry, and a lot of the folks that'll watch this either now or on replay are from our industry, right? But that's some
Right.
pretty valuable information that a lot of guys don't get, and that's something else we're going to talk about, a report that you guys have, the core report. But why don't you, if you don't mind, let's go back 11 months in our last conversation, and start us there, John.
Yeah, and it was really cool to see the video that we did last year, right? Just talking about the industry, and we were in a demand driven cycle, if you will, where it didn't matter what you paid for it, but you had to have it.
Hmm.
So those who had great relationships, and that's one of the things that I touched on. I want to say every 5 minutes, of have great partnerships with your vendor partners, because these are uncharted waters. They will continue to be uncharted waters, and as long as you have that great partnership with your vendors, that they're going to take care of you, because we all know at the end of the day, it's really not about the price. It's about the value that they bring to the table. So
Right.
last year when we talked, we weren't even at the peak of the price cycle yet. We were well over $2,000 a ton. So that was in August. So we finally reached the peak the first week of October, which was about $2,200 a ton, which equates to about $110 a hundredweight, which was an utter record all the way
Right.
around. So that pretty much held true through the end of the year. And then, as you recall, I thought it would peak by late Q4, early Q1, and that's when it did. So fast forward to January, that was the first time it was under $100, a little over $2,000 a ton. Then there were some chinks in the armor, so it slowly started to decline the first 2 months of the year, and then guess what happened in March, right?
Yeah.
The war broke out in Russia.
Yep. Exactly.
So crunching the numbers, it went up 23%, the base number, which is the CRU, which is basically the number that everyone follows. And
Hmm.
then you have your zinc adders onto that and your processing costs and whatnot. So it went up 23% in 7 weeks. So again, at the end of April, it was already back at $94. And that was basically where it was at the first of the year. So fast forward 7 weeks after the war starts, then we've had a consistent drop since the end of April till now, which is about a 28% drop. So
Really.
put yourself in a supply chain manager's seat, right?
Right.
It's like this. It's so hard to gauge of when to buy, how much to buy. Don't get caught with your pants down, being over inventoried. And those are just some of the things that we have struggled with over the past several weeks, is because a lot of people panic bought
Hmm.
when the war broke out, because they knew the price was going up,
Right.
and they sure as heck didn't know about supply, because they learned a lot of lessons along with the people looking for toilet paper in 2021, right?
Yeah. Yep.
So again, it brought back a lot of nightmares for them. So they bought, they bought, they bought, they bought. So then all of a sudden, at the end of April, everyone's over inventory. So now I think the levels have come down, input costs have dropped, lead times from the mills have significantly dropped. It was 12 to 13 weeks the first year. Now it's 5 to 6, 7. Some mills are 8 weeks. So that is the number one indicator that the price keeps dropping, is the lead times that the mills have to the public and the service centers. So it will be really interesting to see where the hard deck ends up. A lot of people are thinking in the upper 50s, perhaps low 60s. I'm thinking somewhere around 60. So what I would like to do is do a little exercise, because our research and analytics department puts out a survey that the steel market industry puts, that they reach out to the mills. They talk to a lot of executives. They talk to a lot of guys and executives at the service center level, and they really get their input of what they're seeing from their side of the business. So let's just take a question here. Where do you think steel prices will bottom out, and when? And when do you think that will happen? So I have about 10 or 12 answers, so I'll just share about 2 or 3 from
Okay.
each question. So
That's great.
you and your listeners can get an idea of what the entire industry and the industry experts are saying. So one individual says 2 to 3 months from now, too much negativity in the market, too slow to change the trend. So I thought that was interesting. So when you look at all these answers, you find a majority of them think along the same lines, and then there's 2 or 3 outliers that either they're spot on or they're way off. So kind of throw those out. Another one says probably August 2022. With labor issues coming into play, prices will rise throughout Q4 and again into fiscal year 2023, which I tend to believe latter part of the year, they like to push pricing up. Summer's a little bit of a lull. I think the auto is slowly starting to come back, not where they necessarily want it to be. Is demand improving, declining, or stable, and why? And again, that's one of the other things that drive this cost model, is the demand. Demand is stable, good, not great. And that's, I think, what I've heard throughout the industry is it's not where we were last year. It's really not where we want to be, but we'll take it right now because we can get it, because we know that there's a lot of bad news out on the horizon, right? Recession, interest rates, gas pricing. So I didn't think demand would be as strong as it is now. So I'm very happy that where we're at, yeah, we'd all love more, but let's be realistic. There's a lot of negative signs in the market. Obviously, the midterms are coming up and whatnot. So again, demand is stable, but at lower levels than the previous 2 years. That's a given. Demand as it is, new orders are soft and declining from import sources. That's another thing, right? Imports.
Right.
Where were we last year? People were going out and buying imports because the spread was so great. Right. Anywhere from $400 to $700 a ton. Well, now that a lot of these foreign deals have hit the ports, you're at a negative delta now. Your foreign deal is not attractive anymore.
Right, right.
Plus, you got to wait 6 months to get it. And do you want to worry about it being clogged up at the port, or do you want to worry about it when it gets into the port, getting a truck under it and getting to your place, because there's labor issues.
Right.
So there's a lot of variables that people are really thinking twice about pulling the foreign trigger, 1 on the price side and 2 on the delivery side.
Makes sense.
Next question. Are supply chain issues getting better or worse, and why? You fight that in your industry, right? How many guys are out of caulking? How many guys are out of insulation, paint? You name it. We're all having those issues. I was at a customer last week. They went to 6 different paint manufacturers. They can't get paint. Wow. So again, it goes back to what we talked about. They didn't have a long-term agreement in place. They were a spot buyer on the paint side, and now they're left out in the wind because they don't have a long-term agreement. So supply chain woes are continuing to be problematic for the customers, competitors, and vendors. It's the second biggest issue we have behind labor shortage. And those two go hand in hand, in my opinion. And I think the supply chain issues will get better, but you and I both know the labor, that's a long-term problem that we're going to have to fight for quite a long time. Same on the transportation side. Another answer, still hit or miss. Things seem to be flowing through the ports better. Again, but labor issues constrain production. They're talking about a Port of Long Beach strike here. So again, you get the goods in, but you can't get them off
Can't
the
get them
dock.
out. Right.
Right, can't get them off
Right.
the dock. So another answer to the question: supply chains are still an issue. Port congestion and inland transportation costs are high. So there's a consensus on the supply chain side that yes, it is getting better, but there's going to be long-term effects to this as we go down the road. So again, have your partner in place. So going back to the question that you asked earlier about what's it look like this year, I have several customers that have jumped on a program that we offer in our organization, an annual program where their pricing moves with the CRU.
Mm-hmm.
So they're willing to throw those spot dollars out the window to get the better price. They just want to make sure that they're covered in steel for the entire year, and they have
Yeah.
right, and they have an adequate supply chain.
Well, and I think,
So
one thing that you hit on, and you hit on last time, you hit on this time is, and you just you struck that chord a minute ago, is the loyalty to the supplier has been huge, right? These guys that if you just go out and I experience it every day in the component part of the world, you want an opportunity to do business, right? But we're not going to take people that have never been a customer,
right,
because we're going to take care of the people we have, because we have limited supply of material and we don't even know for sure that that's going to hold, right? So I think the key there, that we learn things from situations, right? And I hope that everybody learns from this as we roll out of this scenario, whenever that happens, is not saying you shouldn't shop around, not saying you don't investigate other opportunities, because let's face it, in the sales world, if if a guy's loyal with somebody else, I would like them to talk to me, right? So there's two sides to
absolutely.
that street. But man, if you don't stay loyal to people, and all of a sudden you're one of those that shops everybody every 12 days, you're probably going to find yourself without a date to the dance, right?
Exactly. And this is how tiresome the process got last week for not just the supply chain specialists in organizations. We're talking CEOs, presidents. I had a president of a $400 million company. We sat down last August, hammered out a deal, and he flat out told me, he says, John, I am tired of fighting this 3 month fight with these contracts. Put me on an annual deal so I can sleep at night knowing that I have supply. I don't care what I pay for it. So I will, I'm a value added provider for my customers. So they will have no problem eating a little bit of a price hike rather than not having the security of steel. They have to be in business. So
Exactly.
it's to your point, we have changed the way we think of the way we buy things. When you go to the grocery store, right? I mean, look at the toilet paper shortage that hit everybody. The dog food, the baby formula. You hear about a shortage situation every single month now. So those vendors that are working with their customers and providing longer term solutions for them, those are the ones that are going to win out.
Exactly. Well, and Shannon, I think Shannon. She's our marketing coordinator at MWI Components. She just popped on there, and that's those relationships and the material and the shortages. Those that have a relationship and a long-term relationship and work with each other is probably more partnering and more serious partnering in the last year or two than there's ever been, right? And I think that's how we all got through it together,
Right.
because and I'd love to hear your comments on this, because I feel like it's better than it was, like you talked, but it's long ways from what it used to be, whatever that is. But is a lot of that because we've all got better, because this all got through on us pretty quickly, and none of us from either side of the supply chain knew what to do, right? The customer didn't know what to do. We didn't know what to do. We're all throwing our hands up saying, I don't know what to do. And I think over time, two things: we figured out slowly what to do and how to manage the issues. And I think that communication, especially in a partnership type of relationship versus adversarial, is you can set with your customers and say, look, like you talked about with buying for a year out, you can set and say, look, I think you need to beef your inventories up. You need to do some of these things. And I think everybody started to learn to work a little bit better and understand that partnering maybe. Now, will it last? I guess time will tell, right? But I'm sure you've seen that. You've talked about it, right? That's a pretty big deal.
100% agree. We've all learned. I think there's been a fundamental shift in just the way we live our lives, right? Better planning, shopping stores that that have great supply chains, and Amazon. I think I think we as human beings have fallen prey to Amazon, that you just get online, you click on it, and it's going to be at your door, right? The instant gratification factor.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And I think that works with lead times too, of um, expectations. What do we really expect? Is it just people that buy from you, they buy from me? Do they just expect it next day? Well, yeah, you can get it on Prime, but not in my business.
Right.
Lead times 2 or 3 days are phenomenal. I
Right.
mean, last year it was 2 and 3 weeks. This year has gotten much better. But to go back to your point, the mills on the steel side, they were so undisciplined 5 years ago. And now they know that there is money to be made out there, because in the past they would just simply flood the market with steel and just go out and try to buy market share. Well, now that there's been so much consolidation, you've got 4 major mills versus 20 than there were 7 to 10 years ago. So I think they all sit in a cigar room in Vegas somewhere and talk about strategically positioning themselves in the market moving forward. We all know that's against the law, but
Right.
still, who's gonna know when they're in that corner in that cigar bar drinking bourbon and smoking cigars and
Yes.
figuring out how much money, how many billions of dollars can we make this next year?
You know,
So I
in a cigar room with bourbon was something that you and I and Barry Brockstrom, who was on here, I don't know if he's still there, I would never be caught doing. Just pointing
no,
that out.
no, we're there he is right there. No, we're
Yep.
good boys that way.
Yeah,
But
exactly.
in all seriousness, you're exactly right, and we will never go back to the way that we've done business. Having secure supply chain partners in place and people that you do business with, because we all know at the end of the day, you get what you pay for, right?
Hmm.
Talking earlier in the green room, we talk about my wife has a travel agency. They don't. People used to quote her out against Expedia and Orbitz and all those travel search engines. They don't do that anymore, because they know they've seen the travel woes that these people go through with airlines, delayed flights, canceled hotel rooms. They just want somebody to take care of it for them, and they're willing to
Right.
pay the price. So I think we have all learned a valuable lesson these past 18 months to 2 years. Is we've just taken a lot of things for granted, that hey, if you order it, it'll be there. I'll go to the grocery store, it'll always be there because they've got great vendors. Well, how many times have you and I shopped, or your listeners shopped grocery stores or Home Depot, and then you've seen empty shelves, and you've tried to order something online and it's gone? And try buying a car right now. Good luck.
Oh, exactly. Exactly. Yeah, it's my wife just bought a new car not long ago, and it was like the only one they had on the lot, and we looked at each other and said, "We're taking it."
Yeah.
Because you would be months maybe, if that, right? So an interesting thing, and I want to go back to what you're talking about because I know you got a lot of stuff to cover, but you know we've always talked about the triangle or the triad, right? Price, quality, service, and I felt like for years, and I know you come from the same vein I do, is I've always tried to switch that thinking to quality, service, price, right? In the way we think about it, the way we say it, because the price really shouldn't matter unless the quality and the service is there, right? Price only becomes a major issue if you don't have the other two. But I started using and opened that up, and I'd love your thoughts on this because I know what they are because we've just talked about them. But we started to go into a box now, right? And we've got relationships, quality, service, and price. And it's almost the relationship is taken over in many cases as number one on that box, if you will. You better have that first, then with good quality, with some good service, and we'll beat each other over the head a little bit on price, but at some point we're going to come to a deal if we got the other three, right? And that's so different than it used to be. It was always you could it's felt I'm a fastener guys, you know. You could literally be sold down the road for 25 cents a bag. You know, it's like it was nuts. It was like you don't care anything about what I have. I remember times where guys would say, "New customer," like 13 seconds in. Well, how much is your price? Well, what does it matter at this point?
Yeah.
I mean, if I got the best product in the world, I'm probably too cheap. If I got the crappiest product in the world, I'm probably too much. We haven't even talked about what I have. So, what are you going to base that? If I throw a number, what are you going to base that on, right?
Right.
And but I think that's changed a lot. Maybe not for everybody,
No.
but I think that's changed a lot. So I didn't mean to interrupt you because you're on a nice
No, that's
roll.
okay. No, so you're spot on. And you said what? That was a square
Yep.
you were talking about. So I would actually add another side to that. What is that?
Okay.
A hex? A 5-sided? I was never very good in geometry.
It's something. It's a gon of some type.
Yeah, yeah. Octagon's a maybe a hexagon is 5. So
That sounds
I
right.
would add in there somewhere probably two sides before price. I would add differentiator.
Love it.
Yeah, I read a book last year by a guy by the name of Lee Sauls. It's called Sales
Hmm.
Differentiation.
Yes, I've read
He,
his books.
he spoke at our national sales meeting, and I've been selling not the same way, but just different nuances. But you look at what we sell, right? The other guy has it. The other guy
Hmm.
has it. Everyone has it. Again, it's who you do business with, but how are you different than your competition? Not only just you, but your organization. What are some of the things that you do that they don't do? And it really struck a chord with me. So I started using some of those tactics, and then I was able to dig deeper into the thought process of some of these buyers, really find out what they go through, what they look for, rather than trying to sell them. I'm asking those open-ended questions and finding out, okay, what's my angle to get into this? And then talk about this is how we're not better, we're different.
Right.
And I found that is, and I'm
I like
55
that.
years old. And I found that has really worked for me this past year because
Differentiate. I like that.
people look at, okay, right, you have the better price and you always come in and say my product's better, my service is better, 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 better. How about different? That way
Barry
not
says Randy is different.
leave it to Double B, right?
Yeah, double B.
Love them.
I,
Love them.
I thought we banned him, but apparently not. I can see heck. You're talking about the hex, whatever gon that is. I can see Wes back there. He's got the geometry book out. He's flipping pages.
Is that right, Wes? A hexagon?
I don't know. He's still trying to figure it out. But I love that though. I love that. It's almost it's almost like the relationship and the differentiators is almost like a 1 and a 1A. Look at Shannon Clark. It's a pentagon. Beautiful. There it
Right
is.
there, brother.
Yep. 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 That's it right there. Thank you, Shannon. Appreciate that. Yeah, I follow Lee actually quite a bit on social media. Also, he's the real deal, and I think that's a great point. So thanks for bringing that up. And we just decided that we've got the Pentagon now. I'm going to use the Pentagon now. Love it.
Perfect. There we go.
All right. So now that I got us off base, let's get back.
Made a contribution today, right?
You did. Yeah, I'm surprised because I wasn't expecting a lot. So just kidding.
I love it.
We talk almost every day via social media in our little groups,
Yeah.
but I'm always beating you up. We're always beating each other up with the group. This is a chance I get to do it live, and so I think it's kind of fun.
I love it. We need to make it more than just once a year, man. I love
we do.
it. I have a lot of fun.
Awesome. We'll do it. So, anyways, I digressed ourselves for a while. Continue. Wherever you want to go.
So, really, I just had one more question. Are you seeing the impact of new North American capacity, and then just what I talked about earlier, right? About the supply chain consolidation, mills being undisciplined, and how they go to market. They're very rich right now, and they're going to get richer. And you've seen Steel Dynamics is going to open another mill. Nucor's opening up or building a $2.5 billion mill in West Virginia. U.S. Steel just announced one in Osceola, Arkansas. So the rich get richer, and that's it. So you see the capacity side. Yes, we talked about lead times earlier. The lead times are very short right now, so that's going to continue to compress the pricing. So I will give a little bit of advice to your customers.
Yes.
and people who rewatch this. Don't overload your inventory right now, because your inventory is going to be cheaper next week, the week after that, probably the week after that. Really pay attention to what's going on with the CRU and the base price, because that is the indicator. The lead times push that out, but the CRUs basically show you what the indicator is of where the market's going. Well, and like I said earlier, a lot of these people say 60 to 90 days. And then I think in Q4, you're going to see the hard deck, and then it's going to start to creep back up again.
And to the guys, real quick to your point. So keeping it with your recommendation of keeping inventories lower now because the prices are going to keep dropping.
Absolutely.
The danger level is not as great right now to doing that because the lead time and the supply is much better. Correct?
Right. There's
In the past.
ample supply out in the market right now. There's a lot of spot deals. We're actually taking some spot deals from a couple of big mills that really want to push some tons. So we see that a chink in the armor because we already have our contract deals in place. But when they start pushing some really big volume spot deals, because the next chink in the armor will be U.S. Steel coming out or Cleveland Cliffs saying, "Hey, we're taking number one blast furnace offline for 45 days," or we're going to schedule some maintenance for XYZ blast furnace. So that will be another sign that obviously the pricing continues to fall. They don't want it to fall anymore, maybe in the mid 70s capacity, because right now we're in the low 80s. They don't want to see that because then that eats into their profitability, because you have to keep, you can't just start and stop a mill all the time. You got to keep it going, because once a blast furnace, once you take it offline, it's about almost 2 months to fire back up. Yeah. So another answer would be, do you believe it's a capacity impact? Everyone overbought last year and now is only buying what they need. Absolutely. Needed till the market stabilizes. Although the steel industry pricing is always either going to go up or go down, right? Until I think we're in a, it's not as much as demand driven cycle, but more of a price cycle. The input costs are higher. They're coming down a little bit now. Scrap's starting to equalize, iron ore, pig iron, and obviously Russia pushed a lot of that up because we do import some raw materials from Russia. But I think that sting, if you will, has subsided. So I think we'll see some more normalized movement downward for the next 60 to 90 days. And then I think we'll hit the bottom, and then it'll start to creep back up here in Q4 and early into Q1.
And you see that bottom, if I wrote down somewhere around the mid 70s, is that where you see the bottom?
No, I'd see probably mid to low 60s. Yeah.
Mid to low 60s. Okay.
Yeah. Right now it's at 69.50, the base.
Okay. So just to give a little, let's roll back for folks that might not follow this as much. Let's roll back 2-3 years ago to where this latest scenario, before this latest scenario started. What was a good number back then? Do you remember?
Number, yeah. Let me. August of 2020, it was $38 a hundredweight.
Okay, so we're still sizably above.
They'll never let it get that low again.
Never see. I was going to say we'll never see that again, right?
No. And I don't ever like to be that guy. This is never say never, but that is one that we will never see. It's just like we talked in our last show, seeing 40-cent gas. Right. I think I said 70 and you said 40.
Okay, because I'm a little older than you, John.
Right, yeah. But I remember the gas rationing, right, in the early 70s. Yeah, mm-hmm. But you and I both know we'll never see that again. So I'm pretty confident, and a lot of my compadres in our organization are
same way.
Consensus of saying we'll never get back there. Yeah. The mills won't let it happen because back in 08, 09, 10, 11, and 12, they were just bleeding money. And now they've figured out, well, we can actually make money pumping out steel. Well, let's continue to do this. And I think, let's say Nucor last quarter was like an $800 million profit. I mean, it's just ridiculous.
Wow.
Just
wow.
Ridiculous.
Well, and the thing is we can like or not like things, but you need to understand the way life works sometimes. And you take there's correlation with gas pricing, right? For all the reasons, and that's a whole different subject for a different day, but all the reasons that they are where they are or where they was, and they've been dropping some. But you think about it, at $5 a gallon, if all of a sudden they go to $2 a gallon, $2.25, and never change, everybody'd be just so happy, because we're very, very easily conditioned as people, right? You get conditioned incredibly easy. So, and what we forget very quickly is that was $1.60 not that long ago. But we take, and let's face it, if you took everybody that will watch this show in the next 6 weeks and said, could we just call a deal, $2.25 a gallon for the next 3 years, and let's call a deal, we'd all say yes, let's do it, right? But because we forgot already that it was $1.50 or $1.60,
right? Yeah.
And so I think it's the same way with the steel, like you said. We're not going to $38 because they don't need to anymore, because everybody will be happy as a pig in poop, as they say, if it hits the mid 60s, right?
Spot on. Dead
Yep,
on. Yep.
yep,
Yep. People are like, oh my God, it's 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 sub 70 now. Let's do this.
exactly. Hey, Barry put out something brilliant. When did John get so smart?
Since I started calling on Barry in '06.
Wow, great answer.
I know,
Great
right?
answer. That was great.
I mean, usually it's the sales guy in there educating the customer, but
Mhm.
in his uh, in his world, he was educating the vendor.
Yeah, yeah, yep.
That's my
Yeah,
boy, man. I love him.
yep. Barry's our brother, buddy.
We had
Well,
a lot of good times.
we have, and more to come, because we're
Exactly.
all living in, the beauty of so many of us, and this is what happens. Either we're very smart and don't get out of what we know and what we love and what we do, right? Live it, love it, own it, as I like to say. But or we're not smart enough to get out. I'm not sure which it is, or a combination of both. But
Right.
so many of us buddies that talk daily, because for anybody don't, nobody would have a reason to know, but John and I and Barry and a couple other compadres of ours are a little chat group that we bust each other's chops. We send each other stuff that we probably shouldn't, and all sorts of stuff 50 times a day, right?
Exactly.
It's
Yeah.
nonstop.
Yeah.
But even though we've all drifted off into different directions, that is one of the beautiful things with technology, right? Is
Absolutely.
is when we get back together, when us as a group get back together one of these days soon, which we will, somewhere, somehow. We have to. It's just a law, I think. Uh, it's like I don't know. It's like the long lost friend that you were buddies in high school and you haven't seen each other for 27 years, and you bro hug, and it's like you pick up the conversation literally the
Right.
way you left it, right?
Right. And then talk about things you did in the past, and
Yep, yep. It's good
yeah, just
stuff. Good
bro it
stuff.
up. Bro it
Yep.
up.
Yep, and the biggest key is who lies the most. Which, with our group, that's a challenge.
Man, that's boy, to figure that one out. I don't know. That's almost as big as the 13 herbs and spices with KFC.
It may be. Oh well, buddy, this has been awesome. Any closing remarks? As Barry says, Biggie. Well, he lies the most. That's true. He's also the youngest, so.
Right, Biggie.
But Biggie, I don't know why that's Biggie. That doesn't make any sense to me. It should be Bucci or something. But
You
anyway, that's okay.
being
Let's wrap up, because you've been very kind with your time. Give us the last words of wisdom from John Marchand.
the last words of wisdom, and I think we talked about this in the open. Is I'm not trying to pimp out our company or anything like that, but you want good fact-based intelligence of what's going on in the steel industry as well as the globalized economy. Subscribe to our core report. Just go to our website. Wes was so kind to put it right up there, majesticsteel.com, and in the upper right hand corner, you just see latest core report. Click on that. First name, last name, your company name. We're not going to send you a bunch of spam or other things we shouldn't be sending you. And you don't even have to be a customer or a potential customer. If you just want really good information delivered once a week, it's not a busy document. It just has bullet points, and it's a good conversation starter that you can have with your customer or a customer opportunity, and it makes you look smart.
Yeah, and
Imagine that.
like you.
I
Yeah,
try.
you
I
read
try.
Core Report before you got on, didn't you? I know.
Exactly. Yeah.
That's awesome. Beautiful. Great stuff, my friend. As always, I appreciate it. And
Love it,
you
brother.
bring some great stuff, and we'll do it again. We'll do it again soon, but I mean not soon, but kind of soon.
Sure. Yeah.
And if something pops up in the world that's earth shattering, we'll bring you back on for a quick update.
Yeah. Sounds good, my friend.
All right,
Have a
my
good
friend.
weekend, pal.
Thank you, brother. You too, pal.
Thanks,
Cheers.
Wes.
All right. That was, again, some brilliant stuff by my friend John. He brings the real deal, and really sign up for that core report. That is some first class stuff. And if you have any involvement in the world of steel or anything in the world, I guess really it's going to give you an update on what's going on in fuels and home building, and it just gives you a good world, because we are in a global economy, whether we think we're not, or whether we think we are or we think we're not. We're in a global economy. So good stuff. John, thank you, my friend. So we've got next week, a busy week, and I'm traveling. So I'm really pounding it out because I've got to do it's a next week is truly a hashtag hybrid Road Warrior Randy week because I am going to be out Sunday, traveling all week, and be back in the studio here just in time on Thursday, unless I do it from a hotel, we'll see, to have a special edition on Thursday, back to the industry again with a great friend of mine, Gary Reichert. Gary is the CEO and publisher of Shield Wall Media. He was on last year. Uh, he produces many of the trades magazines that we all read, and he also owns and produces, I think that's the right word I'm going to use anyway, the Construction Roll Former Show, which is this year in New Orleans. And so Gary's going to be on to talk about a couple new magazines that they started to produce. We're going to talk about some books that they're doing that can be kind of co-branded, if you will. And we're going to talk about the show coming up in New Orleans. So I mean, how can you not want to go to New Orleans? And so you're going to enjoy Gary, a great guy. And then we're going to be back to our regular time again a week from today at 3 o'clock with Daryl Amy. Daryl, man, you're going to love this guy. Daryl is going to complete, I believe it's a trifecta, unless there's somebody I'm missing, of the Selling from the Heart group. We had Larry Levine on several months ago now, who wrote the book Selling from the Heart. If you haven't read that, you got to read it. Absolutely a must if you're in the sales world. But Daryl is also he's a professional speaker and an author on his own, and a growth architect, which we're going to talk about exactly what that means. But Daryl also co-hosts a podcast, Selling from the Heart, with Larry, and so he's going to be on next week at 3 o'clock. So we're going to have a great conversation about sales in general and what it means to sell from the heart, so to speak. And you're going to enjoy that. I love Daryl. It's going to be big time. So that's it for this week. I'm going to pack up here quickly, and the Dixie Chick and I are going to go spend some time with some friends at our favorite local distillery, and I might even send I may even send a picture to from there. What does Stephen Hoke say? I want to say thanks for the good information. Helping my way, love it. Hey, Stephen, thank you for jumping on, my friend. I appreciate you. Appreciate you being on and following us. So, anyways, until next week, Thursday. Don't forget special edition. Remember, we only get one go around, so live it, love it. And a friend of mine says, own it, as in all capitals, and make today your best day ever. Until tomorrow. Cheers, y'all.